So anybody who doesn't think it's important to track these key KPIs and effectively change the behaviors that affects them will probably not find success in retail today. So I've been working with the Aldo brand for over 30 years now, and I've worked extensively in Asia, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Primarily, I've been focused on performance management systems and linking specific KPIs to behaviors that directly impact the overall performance of retail businesses. Sure, I think that today, if I was to consider all of the markets that I've worked in, probably the most advanced retail management systems I experienced in Dubai. There are other parts of the Middle East that are also very advanced, but Dubai is really the most advanced systems that I've encountered with regards to key performance indicators being tracked and linked to performance management systems. Absolutely. I think when you think about a market like Dubai, for example, there are certain companies like the Landmark Group, like the Apparel Group. They're very advanced and they own multiple brands. So they may not necessarily need Palexi, but there are hundreds of other companies that operate retail brands in the Middle East and Africa region, and let's face it, all across Asia as well, that have not yet adopted an advanced performance management system that is linked directly to key performance indicators that Palexi helps organizations track. Whether you're talking about traffic and conversion and AOV, which are very basic, or you're actually trying to track consumer interaction, the effectiveness of visual merchandising, the effectiveness of marketing, all of the things that Palexi offers are needed by a lot of organizations within the Middle East. You're just going to have to penetrate by looking for companies that have not yet been able to implement AI technology to be able to look at behaviors and standardize those behaviors. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so I think it's important when I'm explaining the value of KPI tracking. Just having data, even if it's organized, by itself, it's not useful. Knowing what your traffic is every day, knowing what your conversion is every day, but not having the ability to change those things, it's not valuable. And a lot of companies make the mistake of thinking that just because they know what their traffic is or they know what their conversion is, that somehow will make it better, but that's not true. You have to link those key KPIs to specific behaviors that you want to replicate that directly impact that consumer experience, and then get them to buy more product from you and get them to buy more product more regularly. So I think that it's a combination of having the right data provided consistently and accurately, and then understanding what behaviors you're trying to create, to replicate in order to affect those KPIs. So it's a combination of retail performance management systems and accurate KPI tracking. I think Palexi's been doing a great job with us, helping us with half of that. But Palexi or companies like Palexi can only provide the data to tell you how you're performing in key KPIs or key behavioral indexes. And then the company has to decide how can they then activate their management to effectively manage behaviors. In the past, when I first started working with traffic counters 20 years ago, you had to work with raw data and you had to do all your own analysis because the companies that were providing you with traffic counters, that's all you got. They did not explain which customers were non-customers, meaning that your own staff counted in traffic, non-customers like children and certain customers, or even mall staff and different people that enter and exit your store. All of that was part of your data, your traffic data. AI can differentiate data now. It can tell you who is real traffic. It can tell you how long people stay. You can decide if you want to have a certain number of seconds before traffic gets counted, so that the person that affected the traffic counter but never really stopped isn't part of your traffic. AI has all of those capabilities, but in the past, companies had to do all of that by themselves through statistics. So one of the first things we needed to do here was create consistency and accuracy. We didn't immediately start working with Polexi on the more advanced capabilities of the AI tools, because we first needed to create a foundation around traffic conversion and average order value. We knew that the behaviors that are linked to those key KPIs, whether it be greeting a customer within 15 seconds, whether it be offering presenting the merchandise in a certain way at the bench, whether it's thanking and reassuring the customer at the end of a sale, all of those types of basic behaviors, we needed to establish that foundation first. As we worked with Polexi more, we started working more with interaction rates, how long customers stayed in the store, where they went in the store. We even started testing fraud detection now, which is kind of a next step for us, which is of course available from Polexi as well. So I think that for us, it was really the specific behaviors, creating consistency, and then tracking how that affected the different KPI, whether it be traffic, whether it be conversion, or whether it be item per transaction. So those are behaviors we can track with Polexi. I think that one of the first things that we noticed that was affecting our conversion in a really big way was the customer to staff ratio, meaning how many customers one staff member talks to within an hour, was too high during the peak traffic periods. And so we realized that customers during our most important hours were not getting the best service because we didn't have enough people on the roster. We also realized that because of the original way that we scheduled, that we were only employing full-time people. So there was a lot of overlapping shifts that were very difficult to change, because if you bring in 3 people in the morning and you have 3 people at night, you end up with 6 people overlapping in the middle of the day, but that's not when our peak traffic periods were. So we recognized the need to have employees that could work 4-hour shifts. So by using Polexi to track the number of customers every hour versus the number of staff we had active in the store, we were able to establish a customer to staff ratio by hour and then create an automatic scheduler that would recommend the number of people you would have on your schedule each hour based on the average number of customers that would enter your store during those peak traffic periods. And so that's something that we've now implemented, I would say, at 80%. We're still going through the process of balancing our full-time and part-time teams, but it's an ongoing process that's helping us with our conversion. Working with a company that provides me with accurate, timely reports is important, okay? But it doesn't solve my problem. Having a company that is willing to be in an alliance with me that recognizes the value of the advanced performance management systems that we have experience working with, and then having the reports to back it and track the changes in KPIs that are linked to specific behaviors, that's been the strength of our alliance. Is both Polexi and Nyachai recognize that they have a mutual benefit that they can draw upon, and I think that's what makes our relationship and our alliance work, because Polexi is learning how to use their KPI reporting with the actual performance management systems that retailers need today. Any manager that is going to start working with these types of data, whether it be traffic, conversion, AOV, interaction rate, product performance, traffic flow, there is no point in having that data if you don't have an intention to standardize a behavior that is linked directly to that KPI. It's the ability of a retailer to standardize, replicate, and track behaviors that affect KPIs, not having KPIs. And so Palexi's willingness to work directly with retailers to understand what specific behavior that they want to standardize and then replicate because they believe it will affect one or more KPIs, that's the strength. I really respect the flexibility that Palexi has shown in the early relationship. Our alliance with Palexi has been really effective because Palexi's done a very good job explaining the technology that they can offer. They've been flexible enough to create reporting specific to our needs, and they've constantly demonstrated excellence in customer service. When we needed things changed, if we needed reports modified, Palexi was there for us to understand our needs and make those modifications. I think the other thing that's been really great with Palexi is just constantly being reminded of what could be next, what extra services we could work on together as we establish those foundational rules and policies.